Sure. I just had it for the scouts earlier.
You got to. I didn't even hear you sneeze.
There are going to be 4 of those. We have the 4 boys are going to lead
You're
us.
sitting up in front of me.
All right, good evening. We will go ahead and call this meeting to order for the January 23rd, 2025 Apple Valley City Council meeting. For anyone who wishes to speak to their item or during the audience participation portion, please come forward to the podium to speak. Tonight we have some special guests here to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And I just need to pull some names up because I wasn't quite as ready as I thought I was. So. All right, we have Ari, Paxton, Nolan, and Jack. Gentlemen, come on up. And as they come up, I would ask everyone to rise as they lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this evening.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Guys, thank you. I understand you're working on a communication badge this evening. Is that correct? You want to pop up back here for a second? I've got a, I know I wasn't quick enough at stopping you, but a couple years ago, Apple Valley celebrated our 50th anniversary, and so we had some special pins commissioned. So I have a few left here if you all would like to come up and get one as a thank you for leading us in the pledge this evening. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And Troop 292, correct?
Yep.
All right. We see a lot of you guys around. Thanks for all you do.
Thank you.
All right, the next item on our agenda is to approve the agenda. And Tom, I know we distributed a couple changes earlier. You want to talk us through those?
Yes, we did. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. We do have a few changes to the agenda. You have that before you. First of all, under your consent agenda, item 4S, you have an updated personnel report. And then you also have an updated item 5A. This is the activity center at Apple Valley High School. We've incorporated one of the separate actions into other documents. So we've got a revision in the actual memo as well as a revision to the agenda itself. And would suggest that we acknowledge that tonight as we move forward on these items.
Great, thank you. So we are looking for a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Councilmember Melander and a second from Councilmember Hebert. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? And that agenda passes. The next item on our agenda is our audience participation portion of the meeting. This is for items not on our agenda. We do have one person who has signed up to speak, so I'm going to take her first. And Halimo, do you want to come on forward? And I think you were here last week and it didn't quite work out with timing, so I'm glad you came back. And we'll give you a couple minutes.
And I live in almost 10 years in Apple Valley. And I'm a taxpayer. I work 25 years at Apple Valley Walmart since 2000. And I move, and we need to drive the street, the Apple Valley, and even I had one car and it broken down. Then until I fix it, I rented another one. I release. So the apartment I used to live right now, they have rules they making rules. They have only two. Each person the least you have the one car. Second car when I put outside, she said can put the street. So I keep getting ticket every night when I go to the work. Only 5 hours I work 2 jobs, group home and a Walmart full-time, both 7 hours a week each. And I'm a single mother. I can't afford every day I go to the working hard and I get the ticket every single day. And they don't have sign everywhere. Mm-hmm. The less than 10 step, the houses, when I see the Bannock and when you drive other houses, they have street. How they put outside, they don't get ticket. Apartment I used to live right now, if they put outside, I get a ticket. Mm-hmm. And I can't afford. I go to the court, If they don't have the sign, city code, how can I read it? Highway, I'm not going highway. Go home, working, and 5 hours sleeping every day. 6 days I work. Only Saturday day I'm off my life. I don't get the chance, even sometimes laundry. So issue, if they don't have the city, they no parking. City code, I'm not PhD holder or go to study in the traffic. How am I supposed to know? That's my issue. So it's not fair. Then less than 10 step, they don't get the ticket apartment and the houses, and I get the ticket because apartment that's what my concern. And if they change the rules, they have everybody. I'm since 2000. I'm a citizen of the United States of America. I taxpayer. How can I get the ticket and other 10 established houses? If I buy the house Apple Valley, saving up money, I don't get the ticket to the street, but the apartment I get the street the ticket. That's my issue.
Understood. So can I just repeat that to make sure we understood all of the pieces? So you're in an apartment off Whitney, correct? And
Excuse me, can you repeat again, please?
yes, I just want to make sure that we all understood what you were saying. So I'm just going to try to repeat that back so that
Okay.
I can make sure we all kind of heard the same thing, give you a chance to clarify if I missed some of that, if that's all right.
This is my second.
Oh, you're fine. No, and you do what I do, which is you tend to talk a little fast. And so like between the two of us talking fast, we may never actually understand each other. So, so you're in an apartment off Whitney.
Yes.
And there isn't enough parking in the lot for all of your vehicles, so you end up parking on the street and have received a number of tickets.
No, they have space, but the rule is they made it, the only one car per person.
So there's room in the parking lot. The ownership of the apartment won't allow you to park all your vehicles there. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
2 of
Okay.
them, I
That's
know.
why I want to make sure I just understood the difference.
Yes, Mr. Over.
And the concern is that there might be a full driveway down the street that somebody's parked on the street, and you don't feel that might be treated the same? Is that correct?
That's how I feel.
Okay. That's what we wanted to hear tonight. Like, we can't take action on these things up here, right? We don't have the ability to make a ticket go away from here. That's what the court system is for. But we will talk to the police chief and talk amongst ourselves and talk about where we can put signage and some of those kind of notifications.
Yeah, I need to just equal opportunity, everybody, they have street.
Correct.
That's what I want, my concern. If I get the ticket, everybody get the ticket street.
Yep, and we can make sure, we'll get the police department to talk to you, make sure we understand like what generates the ticket and what those rules are.
Yes.
It sounds like there's also an issue maybe with the apartment ownership and not allowing you to park in spots that are available.
I can
right?
video, I have a video, empty spot, but I can't put it. They call it towing and 350. I rather $40 to street, instead 300 and plus pound,
Understand.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you.
I'm sure we'll see you at Walmart too.
Yeah, I live right block away from my house.
Mary Meyer all the time, but one day I will see you.
Take care. All right, is there anyone else who would like to speak for the audience participation portion this evening? All right, seeing none, we will move on to our consent agenda, and these items are considered routine and will be enacted with a single motion unless a council member or a citizen requests to pull and discuss them separately. Council members, are there any items you'd like to pull from consent?
No.
All right, citizens, any items to pull? All right, seeing none, we'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Councilmember Bergman, second from Councilmember Hebert. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, consent items all pass, and that moves us on to item 5A, which is the Apple Valley High School Activity Center addition and vacation of drainage easement, and Alex is going to walk us through this one.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Off here. So, District 196 in Apple Valley High School has requested two items for this evening's action. The first is the vacation of a drainage and utility easement,
And the second is for site plan building permit authorization for an 86,621 square foot activity center addition to the existing Apple Valley High School. Site address is 14450 Hayes Road. The zoning is P institution. The mouse is working, good. Zoning is P institutional. Just to cover items on this, the building coverage is 20%. Setbacks from collector streets are 40 feet. Setbacks from residential is 20 feet, and the maximum building height is 40 feet. For a site aerial, just to orient everyone, the proposed activity center is going in approximately the red box area here, and I wanted to linger here for a moment just because it relates to part of the actions that Apple Valley High School and ISD 196 took to make sure that the neighborhood was informed and able to comment on this meeting, or on this activity center. Due to the proximity to those homes that you see to the east, the school did notify all property owners within 350 feet. This was not a required provision of a site plan building permit authorization. They also held an open house, which I attended. We were there for I believe it was 2 hours, and there were actually no attendees. So thankfully, there doesn't appear to be much concern from the neighborhoods surrounding, particularly those homes to the east. The primary demolition plan is of the tennis courts that you saw on the last slide on the eastern side, a long jump, and of course, the vacation of our 54-inch storm main. I will get a little bit more into the storm main in future slides. So this is the overall site plan, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on it other than to try to highlight specific areas. And I'm sorry, the mouse is not working very well for me right now, so it's hopping around a bit on me. Currently, the grading is occurring for the 4 tennis courts that you're seeing just south of my cursor. And then these 3 tennis courts that you see where the cursor is resting on were actually previously approved along with those 4 tennis courts. And the small shed you will see on the south that I would point out a little bit better if I thought that I could get there with the cursor. The drainage and utility easement is approximately, or current drainage and utility easement is approximately located where I've got the dotted dashed line there. And then I'd like to note the 170-foot setback. It's actually about 169 and some inches. So on the zoomed site plan, these are the 3 tennis courts. This is just the west side of the school. These, again, were already previously approved, so they are not part of the site plan building permit authorization. One of the primary items of the evening is to hold a public hearing for the vacation of that drainage utility easement. So the city has a 54-inch stormwater main in this easement currently. It will be relocated. This is the official easement vacation exhibit. And unfortunately, that slid over in this. It wasn't on my computer, which is real fun. You can't notice much of a difference between the 2 exhibits because there's a very minor jog to the drainage utility easement just to affect the minor area that they need to go around the new school corner. So on the east is where you really start to see the major changes. So there is where you see the large school addition. You will see a skyway connecting the 2. And the fact that this is actually kind of buried into a hill. And you'll see that. I've got some slides a little bit later. It also shows where the new alignment of the drainage utility easement will be. It'll be underneath the long jump, which is also part of the demolition and the relocation process. I think I had a couple of other notes that I wanted to note on this one. For the grading plan on the west, there isn't significant grading that's going to be occurring. The 3 tennis courts will require a slight change to the stormwater pond that is at the northeast corner of those 3 tennis courts. That is then gained up again through the northeast corner of the existing stormwater pond where it will be expanded. So this is where I wanted to bring up those grades. There's up to 55 feet of grade change between that 1029 and the 974 down to the building. So there's a pretty significant hill between those residential homes and the back of this building. That then goes down to 27 feet of grade change as you start to taper down the hill as you move south. Some of the homes will be well above this, and the majority of the homes will be well above this site and will not have any visual impact, and you'll see that in future slides. Some of the homes are a little bit closer to being at the top of the building grade, but you will see some elevations later that will help you be able to visualize that a little bit better. But I really wanted to emphasize just kind of the steep grade and the fact that this building, the corner of it, is actually cutting into the hill right at, I wonder if I use a piece of paper.
The hardest part of your job shouldn't be operating the mouse, right?
No, but, you know, it makes my awkwardness, not stand out as much. So the northeast corner, right there where I was circling, is at that kind of bottom of that hill. The utility plan, not a lot is changing. They're connecting into the existing utilities. The one thing that I would like to note is that stormwater line. It moves further south, and I wanted to show kind of a wider view area. So this stormwater line serves a very wide area all the way up to 140th, and then goes down to the city stormwater pond to the south that's also on the site. One of the other reasons that this is important is it also limits some of the landscaping, which I'll need to go into later. They have a very well prepared exhibit for that I will share, but because of some of these stormwater pieces on this site, there's further limitation on where landscaping can be placed. So cutting into this hill did require the removal of quite a few trees. However, whether fortunate or unfortunate, most of the trees were unhealthy. And so because of that, there wasn't a lot of caliper inches that needed to be replaced. As you are aware, the site is one of the older sites in town in terms of our schools. And these were some of probably the original trees on the site, particularly since they were at this hill that would be otherwise unusable without the building being cut into it. The landscape plan, I've got a very good colored one coming up, but for the overall, wanted to show some wider areas and then just the total count. There are quite a few trees that are being replaced. So you've got 52 conifers, 117 deciduous large trees, 12 small, 45 shrubs, and 13 perennials. Most of the areas that you're seeing are actually going to be on slopes, which will actually benefit the site in some ways, and that it can be difficult to mow slopes. And so by placing larger trees and vegetation, you actually end up with some efficiencies. So as I said, I've got colored plans coming up that make each of these a little bit easier to see. This is on the west side of the site. You can see the tennis courts there, the 4 that have been graded and the 3 that are coming in. And then the hill to the north of those is where the majority of that landscaping is going. That is actually a pretty steep hill. You can see it pretty profoundly when you look at the grading of the site. There's about 25 feet of grade change between the top of that hill where you're seeing some of those trees down to the driveway that heads through. The other thing I wanted to highlight is the brown area on the site is native prairie grasses. So there'll be even less maintenance for that area, and it is something that is encouraged by staff to be able to utilize instead of turf grass, which needs quite a bit of water. On the east side of the site, most of the landscaping has been oriented in 2 different ways. The first, to try to replace some of the landscaping on the hill that they've been removing, or that they are removing it. And the second, to kind of screen the building and its visual impact from the trail that runs east-west along the large drainage utility easement for Magellan easement, not drainage utility easement. This is the slide that I'd really kind of referred to previously. This shows some of the areas that they can plant, and those are the areas in green. The areas in orange, they can't, and the areas in red are Magellan and definitely not. With that, you also start to see, the field use and other uses of the site start to limit where they're able to place landscaping. One of the things with these buildings that staff will continue to evaluate and has worked with the district on quite well is to evaluate whether the 2.5% provision that is required for institutional buildings should be applied or can be applied to some institutional buildings versus others. So as we saw with fire station, police station, these buildings, our municipal buildings and the school buildings, have an increased cost above what, say, a typical structure of another type would be. For instance, a YMCA would not be required to have a storm shelter that can that can house the entire school population within it, similar to how our fire station did. So this provision of being able to utilize landscape resources, that 2.5%, towards other measures was something that was well received by the Planning Commission. We went through each item in pretty good detail, and I will be able to provide a little bit of detail on that as well. They're doing EV car chargers. You'll see in your staff report exact amounts. Structural bracing for a future solar panel project that was already part of the school's goals and guidelines. So the solar panels are something that they ISD 186 sought to do anyway, and through this project are able to essentially make the new building able to house those solar structures. And then, of course, some credit for the native prairie grasses as well. Getting into the visual impact of the site, I think this is one of the best graphics to help you visualize that the neighborhood to the east will have a very minimal impact, particularly once trees have regrown. You will see building elevations coming up, but the majority of the homes along this site are going to be well above it. Staff did evaluate, even if the solar panels are added, that the majority of the homes would not be able to see it from their ground floor, but may potentially through the winter be able to see the tops of the solar panels from, say, a second-story home. Difficult to evaluate whether that would be possible through the vegetation or not. Building elevations, they are trying to match the existing building as much as possible. Apple Valley High School is an older building and has, as you've seen, they've done some more recent additions that have really helped the aesthetics. They've tried to match those aesthetics and architectural elements through the round circles and ovals. You see those throughout the school, interior and exterior, on their new entrance. I believe, so in terms of building heights, for those looking at home, what will be on the west side of the site, the total building height is 31 foot 8 inches, and then as it tapers down the hill would be 35 foot 6 inches. And then for the bottom portion of the slide on the east elevation, there's nearly 14 feet of the building buried into the ground. And so you lose quite a bit of that building height towards that eastern side where they're where it's closest to those residential homes. Here you see how the school would look from the south and north. So primarily from the south, that'll be for the students and from the stadium, and from the north, this would be from the trail system and that Magellan pipeline and all of the fields to the north. Sharing renderings of the building, I think really help emphasize how buried into the hill this site will be, and some of the architectural elements that they've done to try to break up some of the massing of the large building. This is how the building will look from the fields. There is one minor change that I want to note to this, just so that people are not concerned. There is not a pylon going down into that drainage utility easement. This rendering was created prior to that. We have since corrected that, but we did not need that corrected for this elevation. Interior, lower level, primarily on this one, I want you to look at kind of the western or the left side of your screen where the mechanicals and entrance will be. The next slide shows the courts just a little bit better and their versatility. So you will have multiple different types of courts within this, from basketball to pickleball to tennis, depending upon the types of uses. One of the questions that we have received is whether this will be open to the public. They did answer that at the Planning Commission, that yes, it will when it is not being programmed for school activities. However, if you have additional questions on how that use will occur, I do encourage you to speak with the applicant that is present this evening. This is the upper story floor plan. This is where you can see the skyway connecting to the existing building, and then a running track along the outside. So there are now only 3 actions this evening. On your original agenda, you had 4. The primary reason for that is that we have that vacation and then the rededication of easement. Instead of having a rededication of easement document, which was action 3 on your agenda and within your packet, we have included conditions in both the vacation resolution and the site plan building permit authorization so that we can draft that document, have the district sign it, and did not actually need to put an additional action for you this evening so that we can speed up the reading of the actions. Or at least that's what I'm going to use as my excuse. Any questions for staff?
Seems pretty thorough. Alex, any questions? Councilmember Bergman.
I don't have any questions, but I understand that there's school district representatives here tonight. I had the pleasure, I had some questions. Up here, we are elected officials, plus we are also taxpayers of the community. Been on the planning commission, started looking at, in particular, the first one because I live the closest to it, Apple Valley High School. And so when I started reading this, I was like, wow, the district is just got to go through hoops and whatever to do things. You probably saw me shake my head with the landscaping and how much the percentage at times they know that instead of 2%, can we go lower, as we've talked about before. Some of the questions that have been answered either by residents or by the planning commission I had, but tonight I'm strictly voting on this, what's there, not everything else that's already been, as taxpayers would be concerned about. But Alex did answer all of those. I said to Alex, I said, you, as the rep for this project, you can tell the school district the questions I asked, so he knows what I've asked, but I'm not going to bring it up. That's not what we're here for tonight, but for your project, I took the fair approach and the honest approach to do this. So it's a nice project. Everything else is will all fall in place. So thanks.
Any other questions? If not, we'll go ahead and hold the public hearing. Anyone who would like to speak to the public hearing? Anyone who would like to speak to the public hearing for item 5A? And one last opportunity. All right, seeing none, we'll close our public hearing and we'll look for a motion to adopt a resolution completing the vacation of drainage and utility easement as described in Exhibit A.
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Councilmember Bergman, second from Councilmember Hebert. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That item carries. And our second is to adopt a resolution approving a site plan building permit authorization to allow construction of an 86,621 square foot activity center at Apple Valley High School. Do I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Second.
And a motion from Councilmember Melander, a second from Councilmember Hebert. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? All right, item 5A is done. We will move on to 5B, which is a Eastview High School Activity Center addition and vacation of drainage and utility easements, and Sydney has this one. We'll see if she's better at the mouse than Alex. We'll find out if it's an equipment problem or a personnel problem.
Might just give this a go instead.
Oh, she's got a different one, Alex.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Tonight I will be presenting to you the vacation of easement and site plan and building permit authorization for Eastview High School Activity Center addition. Specifically, the 2 requested actions for tonight are the vacation of drainage and utility easement, as well as site plan and building permit authorization for an 84,700 square foot activity center addition to the existing Eastview High School. The property is generally located at 140th Street West and Flagstaff Avenue. The existing parcel is about 57 acres and consists of the existing high school, ball fields, various courts, and a football stadium. The proposed addition would be in the northwest corner of the site. The Eastview High School site is zoned institutional. The development area standards within this zone include a minimum building setback of 40 feet and a parking setback of 20 feet. The submitted plans show the addition and new parking lot meeting both of these requirements. The maximum building coverage is 20%. The addition will increase the total building coverage to about 9% for the entire property. Lastly, the maximum building height is 40 feet without a conditional use permit. The proposed addition would be up to approximately 36 feet in height. The proposed 84,700 square foot addition would include gym space, a training room, multipurpose rooms, and a walking track. The construction of the addition would remove an existing landscape area and 69 parking stalls. Access to the addition will come from existing driveways off of 140th Street and Flagstaff Avenue. With the addition will be a 74-stall parking lot. The net parking for the entire site will be 734 stalls. City code does not provide a parking minimum for schools, but since the addition does not cause an increase in student body, staff is comfortable with the total parking count. Shown here are the existing private water, storm, and sewer utilities that are within the easement to be vacated. There are also utilities in the construction area of the proposed addition, which I have depicted as the red structure. These utilities will be removed and replaced. As indicated, there is an easement covering the private utilities in the construction areas of the property. There are no public utilities within the easement. This easement has been requested to be vacated by the applicant. The city is not responsible for maintaining these utilities since they are private to the site. Because of this, there is no rededication of easements with Eastview High School as there was with Apple Valley High School. The hearing notice was distributed to area utility companies to review whether they have services within the easement area. No comments or concerns have been received to date. The utility plan shows the replaced utilities that would be moved to accommodate the construction of the activity center. Any relevant comments to the utility plan have been included in the engineering memo. The grading plan has also been reviewed by engineering, and again, their comments are provided in the memo attached to the staff report. In terms of the elevation, the proposed addition is shown to be about 10 to 15 feet lower than the elevation at the street and property line area elevation at 140th Street. This, combined with landscaping, will provide a slight screening effect of the activity center from the residential properties across 140th Street. Existing trees in the landscape area that are in the location of the proposed addition would be removed. In the construction area, that's about 18 trees. Throughout the site, a total of 40 trees are shown to be removed in various areas. It appears that most trees being removed outside of the construction area are due to the tree being dead or in poor health. While 40 trees are shown to be removed, the landscaping plan shows the addition of approximately 151 trees, as well as a variety of other plantings. There would be a net increase of about 111 trees. As noted by Alex, the applicant is proposing a variety of other features to meet the required 2.5% landscaping costs. For Eastview, the applicant has proposed EV chargers, increased tree diameter, upgraded fencing and retaining wall screening, structural reinforcement of the addition roof to prepare for solar panels, and increased irrigation. We will continue to work with the applicant to ensure that the landscaping requirement is not a cost-prohibitive city code requirement, while also being consistent with past practices. The proposed primary building materials are shown to be precast concrete, brick, and pre-finished metal and aluminum. It appears that the proposed brick and pre-finished metal and aluminum would match the existing school building materials. The precast concrete is a material that is not found on the existing school. The precast concrete material is primarily visible along the west elevation adjacent to Flagstaff and the north elevation adjacent to 140th Street. The brick material would be concentrated on the corners of the addition, which provide a projecting articulation and break up the massing of the precast facade. The applicant also provided renderings to help illustrate the building materials of the proposed addition. The precast material would mimic the existing brick patterns consisting of sand-blasted panels with acid etch and deep reveals to reflect brick decals. The information and site conditions staff considered when reviewing the new precast material is the attempt to mimic both the color of the existing school materials as well as having the brick-like decals versus just having a flat surface. Additionally, the north elevation that is adjacent to residential would be partially screened by proposed landscaping and grade change, as well as separated by 140th Street and about 250 feet or more from those residential properties. The Planning Commission had no concerns with the new precast material. While planning doesn't necessarily review interior layouts, the applicant did provide it for us tonight. The main level shows the walking track and the training room, and then the lower level shows 4 full courts and the multi-purpose rooms. The 2 levels will be accessible by stair or elevator. The Planning Commission reviewed this request at the December 18th meeting and voted unanimously to recommend approval of the proposed activity center addition. The Commission had no questions related to the planning and zoning review of the project. With that, the requested actions for tonight are as shown on the slide. We are recommending, if there are no comments due to the vacation of drainage and utility easements, that we do act on that tonight. And with that, I can also stand for any questions.
Thank you. Nice job. Any questions? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing for the vacation of the drainage and utility easements. Anyone who would like to speak to the public hearing? Anyone who would like to speak to this hearing? One last opportunity. We will close the public hearing and we'll look for a motion to adopt a resolution completing the vacation of a drainage and utility easement as described in Exhibit A.
So moved.
We have a motion from Councilmember Heber. Do we have a second?
Second.
From Councilmember Melander. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we'll look for a motion to adopt a resolution approving a site plan building permit authorization to allow construction of an 84,700 square foot activity center addition at Eastview High School.
So moved.
From Councilmember Bergman, and a second
Second.
from Councilmember Hebert. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you, Sydney. Nice job. That we're done with these. We do have representatives from the district here. I don't know if there's anything you guys would like to add or not at this point, but thank you. Thank you, guys. We'll move on to 5C, which is to adopt a resolution approving a site plan building permit authorization for an activity center, pool, and other amenities at Redwood Park. And Alex is back. It's the planning, it's the all planning agenda this evening, so.
Star players.
Star players.
No, we have no doubt.
You only got a couple.
Yeah. Well, this time I'm only going to use this.
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
worry.
We have
Thank you,
Sydney come
Council.
back up and run that for you if you'd like.
Oh, yeah. That would be helpful.
She left you.
I'm going to stick to this time. So with this, Redwood Park at 311 150th Street West. I'm sorry, I'm reading that wrong. I did actually read that correctly. That was with Apple Valley High School. There are some additional actions that will be required on this one. You guys made me nervous by starting to tease me. The City Council approved a waiver of plat in February of 2024 for all of our parks referendum projects. You did so in primary reason for this project. And I'll get into a little bit more of that later when you start seeing the site plans and stuff. The second action will be a site plan and building permit authorization, and that's what we are seeking this evening for a 5,572 square foot activity center, pool, and other park amenities, the existing Redwood Park. Site location, as I blundered through, is 311 150th Street West, far west side of our community, one of our probably original parks. It was actually platted in 1963. And then the community center was built in 1965. Site, as with all of our projects this evening, is zoned institutional. The setbacks, again, along Collector Streets are 40 feet. Along County Road 42 is where the changes will be coming in, and I will go into a little bit more detail on that later. Building coverage is 20%. The site is made up currently of three different parcels, though it looks like four. Two of those are actually combined as you look at them from parcel ID. We'll be just doing a final plat, so it won't increase a total number of sites, so you will see that as on a consent agenda at a future meeting. Lingering with the overall site plan, as I noted, the site was originally platted in 1963, constructed in 1965. The pool and original community center for Apple Valley was closed in 2024 for the 2025 construction season, with the hopes that we will be able to open it back up for the 2026 summer pool season. That is the reason primarily for that waiver of plat. So as the council, I'm sure, is aware, County Road 42 is going through a corridor study. And with that corridor study, additional right-of-way may be needed. And as that discussion occurs, that final plat will change significantly. The amount of right-of-way that Dakota County may be requesting is still being considered. And we want to make sure that when we bring that plat forward, it's the correct plat that can last for a significant period of time rather than needing a paper easement at a later date. So this project has a tight time frame with wanting to be constructing in 2025 and then open for 2026. And so the other parks projects that you will see coming forward in the future will not have some of these constraints, but we chose to do a waiver for all of the parks just in case we needed to. But this was kind of the primary reason for doing so. So this is the overall site plan for the park. Again, similar to my prior presentation, I'll go into more details as we zoom in. The primary piece that I wanted to note on this site plan is that not all of the park is being affected. The far west side that saw disruption from the stormwater pond expansion a couple of years ago will not see any additional disruption. So that neighborhood will not see the disruption as part of this plan. It then breaks it down into a slightly more zoomed site plan with the baseball diamond to the north and then the main park amenities and new parking lot to the south. This is a slide I'm going to linger on for a little while because there's quite a bit of new for the council to absorb. You probably saw much of it in your packet, but the site plan has been updated. Not all of the plans following have. So you will see landscape plans and other plans that haven't quite been updated yet. One of the conditions is that they will be required to be updated prior to building permit. So we will move through that, and the landscape plan and your civil plans will be updated. But this is the most up-to-date plan. The primary reason for that is because at the Planning Commission, the parking lot didn't quite meet our standards. They've found a way to squeeze everything into this now quite packed site.
You think?
And it will be, so the parking is now 100% compliant. So no concerns there. That was the only item noted by the Planning Commission of concern. Otherwise, it was a fully unanimous recommendation. Some of the key items that I want to note is that the original site plan that you saw on the aerial previously had only 85 stalls. This will increase to 115 parking stalls. The final plan also I would really like to note is subject to some budgetary constraint items. So as bidding goes out, you may see some of the final items change. This is common when we see sites coming forward. We are flexible with our private developers as well, so it's not just something we are doing for our park system. The little red pavilion in northwest of the amenity building is the existing pavilion that's on site that is going to be removed from the site, stored, and then replaced in a slightly different location. Wanted to note that because that was paid for out of a federal grant system, so we're wanting to make sure that that is highlighted. There are some other features that I really want to highlight, such as the boardwalk overlook. Next to it is some rain gardens and then a trail that isn't paved. So it's a more gravel or other type of feature trail, and then a large natural prairie grass area. Just north of that is a significant prairie grass area up against the pond, which will help with some of the pond health. The dotted lines represent a easement for yet another 54-inch stormwater main running through a site, which was another large constraint for this site in its design. You'll notice that there are items over the top of that. Hard surfaces have been allowed in the past for private sites as well, so this is not just for a park site. But you'll notice that the pool and pool deck are right up against that and were one of the site constraints as they were trying to fit as much as they can on the site while staying as far away from County Road 42 as possible. South of the easement is the proposed pool, the new amenity building, a playground area, and then a series of trails. And you'll see that they also lead to a underpass under County Road 42, in addition to the at-grade trail at 42. So both connections will be made to the park. On the eastern side of the site, you'll see that the site access has moved north, away from County Road 42. This is for safety. That access was too close to such a major roadway. It also meets access spacing from the roadway to the north. There is an existing well pump house noted in the northeast side of the site that will remain on site and will keep its access via the trail that you notice there, so that won't be affected. And then there are basketball courts, tennis courts, and a variety of other amenities throughout the site that our residents will be able to enjoy.
Alex, before you leave that one, no need to go back to it. The proposed playground, right? We've talked about that being an inclusive playground. That plan hasn't changed, and I just want, correct?
That is correct.
I just want to make that clear as people might be watching, that just because it doesn't have the word inclusive playground or isn't described as such, this isn't a change to our parks plan. This is just a planning document, not a parks document.
Correct. You will still see some of the future plans noting some of those features. This one was intended to try to show that it could meet all setbacks.
I just don't want a misunderstanding as we get to this step and somebody thinking something changed that we'd committed to, so.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You helping me with that clarification. So I'm going to zoom in on a couple other portions of the site plan. I'm going backwards, that's why. I probably should have had Cindy help me. So we were at utility plans. They're relatively unchanged other than we are tying our stormwater main into that existing 54-inch out to the pond to the west, and then water and sewer will be served off of Elm Drive. Unfortunately, with this site, there are a lot of mature trees. The next slide you will see is going to be unlegible, but it just will help you emphasize that all the red trees are removals. Because the site is older and we are needing to shift the building north, there's going to be some tree removal. We are confident that we will meet the tree removal requirements and the 2.5%. Everything that we've seen thus far, that shouldn't be of any issue or concern. So this was that slide that I referred to. There are a number of trees. I warned you it was unlegible. Unfortunately, only 12 of them are ash, unlike most of our other parks. There are a significant number of oaks on this site, which is why you will see that there is a very robust landscaping plan. One thing that I didn't want to forget about is that there is a baseball diamond expansion planned to the north, again, subject to budgetary items as we move through the bidding process. This is that extensive landscaping plan I was just referring to. The reason why I wanted to include those removal slides is because they were included in your packet, and they highlight some of the species that were being removed. There is a good variety of species being replaced. Natural Resources has reviewed it. It meets our new standards that the council recently adopted. And thus far, staff believes that it will exceed all of the 2.5% requirements by a significant amount. One thing of note, the blue area that is the inclusive playground is not a pool. That blue is something that was on the original set of plans that we sought to remove just due to confusion that we were getting that you saw on our site plan. But again, this is a slightly updated or a slightly older set of plans, so some of the things have shifted. You will see that the landscaping is centered a lot on that eastern side around a berm on the eastern side. So there'll be some bushes, trees, and potentially some grasses to try to screen headlight wash. The primary reason is those homes across the street have not had vehicles pointed at them in the past, and we wanted to be considerate of those 4 homes. So that was a key consideration for planning and the applicant, which is the Parks Department, to make sure that we were respectful of those homes across the street. This is one of the potential renderings. This one shows a aquatic type theme to that playground area, inclusive playground area. There are several themes being explored. The Parks Director would be able to elaborate on whether one has been more decided on. It also helps show just kind of the orientation of the building, the slope of the roof. One of the items that came up during a public open house that staff attended was the desire to see future solar panels on that roof. These elevations don't do justice, so I'm going to move through them relatively quickly. The only thing that I wanted to mention on it is that it is the materials of the roofing structure, which are standing seam, and then the building side is a thermally modified wood siding, which I guess stands up well to moisture. It is a little bit more of a residential product, but it is tucked into one of our older neighborhoods in town, so I believe it fits within the character. The renderings do the building much better justice, so we'll move through those a little bit quickly, and if you have questions on them, just let me know.
Moved up to the next century, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And then interior pool area rendering as well. So the majority of the building will be for changing rooms and bathrooms on that eastern side, or right side of this screen. Then the center of the building will be pool mechanical. During the winter, the pool area will be closed and will not be open to the public and not heated and cooled. And only a amenity room will be open to the public year-round on that left side. It's a large gathering space located on this. One of the Planning Commission questions was what types of kitchen or other types of amenities will be within this. We have a number of other facilities with that type of amenity within it. This is more meant for the potluck, bring your own type of feature, so that we have a variety of types of spaces that can serve for whatever type of event you were planning on having. This is primarily the pool layout. You will see that it is an inclusive pool layout as well. Also, I believe that our Parks Director emphasized at the Planning Commission that there are multi-level steps to be able to allow for swim lessons for different age groups, so that you are able to learn at your own pace and at your own age. And then there's the lap pool, and there continues to be other pool features which you will see that are currently on site, such as the climbing rock wall and diving board that the Parks Director explained would not be open at the same time for safety reasons. And with that, I stand for any questions. Otherwise, the action this evening is to recommend approval of site plan. I'm sorry. It apparently did not update. I apologize. The action this evening is on your agenda.
Alex, thank you. Nice job on this one. I think we're all excited to see this kind of move forward. Any questions? Go ahead, please.
I just wanted to say thank you. This is very exciting, coming from the Parks Advisory Committee to be here, and part of this right now is extra special and exciting to see this come through. And a lot of credit to our, to all the staff and the Parks Committee to really listen to everything that we heard from the residents of what they wanted to see in this park, from having the pool, the inclusive playground, the aqua volley. This is really transformational and really exciting to see this happen in our community. So again, I just wanted to say, thank you and great job. Very excited for it.
No, thank you. Thank you. And yeah, thanks to you and the Parks Committee for doing kind of funny to watch this get here and then ready to come right back to you, right?
Yeah,
Spend a lot of time on that.
It's like, I see all this, I recognize this.
Well, you're probably going to be excited to make a motion then to adopt a resolution of a site plan and building permit.
Yes, I would like to make a motion, so moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all those, we have a motion from Councilmember Hebert, a second from Councilmember Bergman. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, thank you. Thank you, Alex, for that. I know the scout group here is working on a communications badge, and maybe there's a connection with Eric to talk a little bit about the monumental communications effort that went into just even this project, but the whole park bond referendum. I think there's a good story there in the way we got the word out and reacted to it. And maybe not tonight, but maybe another time, might be a good conversation for the scouts working on the badge. So with that, we will move on to our staff and council communications, and we got a couple things to probably talk about, don't we, Tom?
We do. We're going to call up our Park and Rec Director. This is the last meeting before Midwinterfest, so
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, and those watching at home, we have Midwinterfest coming up Saturday, February 1st, starting around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. All of the favorites that people have come to expect will be there. We've got horse-drawn rides. We've got the police department there with the garden carts. We've got kids band in the afternoon. We've got an adult band in the evening. We've got the Rotary Club will be serving family-friendly beverages. We've got Rascals there serving adult-style beverages. We'll have some food trucks. The fire department will be there. And then we'll end the evening with fireworks. So we invite everyone to come out. And let's not forget the Apple Valley Arts Foundation for sponsoring the adult entertainment, the band in the evening, if you will. So we invite the community to come out and join us on Saturday, February 1st. Hopefully we'll get a little bit of white stuff between now and then, and hopefully the temperature will treat us well.
Perfect, thank you. What time do we start?
I believe it's 3 or 3:30, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Fireworks are 7-ish, if I remember right?
Yep, sounds about
Perfect.
correct.
Perfect, so, thank you. Tom, any other staff updates?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, just a note to the community that we do have a vacancy on the Park and Recreation Advisory Committee, and that application period is currently underway. We'll run through 4:30 on Wednesday, January 29th. And we do have information on the position and the term. It's all available on the city's website. And we would encourage people to apply and fill that very important position on that committee.
So that deadline is next week, just to be clear, for those who are interested, it's next week, so, thank you. Council members, any items? Ms. Marhevic?
Yes, I would just like to publicly acknowledge and thank our Apple Valley Police Department and all their effort and hard work, and I think a really fabulous job of keeping the public informed of the tragic outcome of the situation with Mr. Zhang. So I just, again, wanted to say, great job of keeping people informed and all the hard work that went into that. So, thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to our calendar of upcoming events. Our next informal city council meeting is Thursday, February 13th at 5:30, and our next regular city council meeting is Thursday, February 13th at 7. Do we have a motion to approve the calendar?
So moved. Second.
Motion from Councilmember Bergman, second from Councilmember Melander. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. And do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
From Councilmember Hebert and a second from
Second.
Councilmember Melander. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.